Okay, I'm recording my screen and I'm going to demonstrate how we can have a physics impact on this box, for instance, from the kick without any code. I'm not going to bother with the sphere today. So this is codeless, but it relies on the physics engine running in Unity to work. The first thing I'm going to do is I've rolled this down, but maybe it's best to roll it up again and see. So this is my Banana Man. He has a character controller, but that I've taken out any push animations from the tutorials previous, so he doesn't push these things around. I don't want that to happen really in my game. I really want him only to be able to. Maybe I'll put a soccer ball in there for him to kick around, but I really want him only to be able to kick things and punch things. So to do that, I'm going to roll this Banana Man down, and if you notice his armature, hips, left thigh, right thigh. No, his kick is a right thigh kick, so I'll roll down right leg, and here's right foot. And I'm going to attach to his right foot, there you can see it there, a null object, that's what I call him. But if I click on this and say create empty, there's an empty game object that's been created, and I'll call it boot. I'll drag this boot up here onto the right foot. And because the right foot, in order to see it, we have to also see the right toes, but you can see they're indented the same, whereas the right toe's end is indented further. So the boot and the right toes are both attached to the foot. These are not attached to the right toes, just to let you know. So here's the boot, but it's up here somewhere. So I'll just move it down. And I haven't really gone into this, but here's a orientation view that allows us to see things from definite perspectives and just make sure that things are lined up the way that we think they should be. Let's look at it from the bottom of the foot. So I want this to be, centered in the foot. That looks pretty good. And we'll move around, make sure that it's high enough, not in underground or something. Okay, so there's my null object. It's a game object without any dimension. You can see there's just a gizmo. There's no bounding box that describes it. But we can create for that. Here's boot. I've clicked it, and I'll say add component, box collider. Make sure you choose not the 2D version there. And it's pretty big. It may be enormous. You have to be careful about this, but there it is. You can see it's pretty big. We can maybe turn off the ground plane for a minute. That may help us see this. Here's the boot. So I can, again, I'll kind of go into these different views here. So this is a Z axis. The blue is always Z. And so I'll just narrow this boot down a little bit. And Y is always green. And I'll just shorten it a bit. I'll also move it up. I want it to be about from the base of the foot to the knee. And then look at it from a different view. Yeah, this way wide. So that's X. The red is always X. So this boot fits pretty nice. It's kind of I think of it as an iron boot. I want it to really apply collision to things. But it is about knee length and all that, but I can also rotate it. That's the rotation tool, so that it more matches the leg. Don't know if this is important, but I like it. And one thing I want to be sure of is that it begins behind the toe. You've seen the character walk into walls and things, and he just continues to walk like a dummy. And I don't want to kick things and make the collisions happen. I want it to, I don't want it to be from walking. I want it to be from kicking. So there's my box collider boot. I'm just going to concern myself with this cube for a minute. I've flattened the cube a bit. You can see I've Just made it a wall, sort of a wall from the kick down. But so what I think happens, I'm not absolutely certain here. I'm still learning this stuff, but I think the edges and the vertices are what really matters with this. So that I've got the boot on, and both. Oh, okay, everything flew off into space. It's really actually that it didn't fall out. Everything else was falling, right? So let's put the ground back. Here's the plane. This is going to be better for us. So if I come over here and kick, I still don't see the kind of reaction I really want to see, although I have noticed. So I believe it's the edges, not the planes, not the faces that are. But anyway, I don't really know what's causing it. But so what my idea is, and I think this is cost effective, is to the things I want to be able to kick, I should add things inside for him to kick. In other words, just like I added this boot, which has a box collider, I can add objects to this cube. So I'm going to right click again and say create empty, and there it is in the middle of nowhere. And I want to put it inside the box. That looks pretty much inside the box. But again, it's dimensionless, so let's add a box collider. And that's a little too wide, so again, this red is always X. One thing I really want to be sure of is that it doesn't stick out at all from the cube itself, because then when it rolls over and falls over, it'll hover in the air, right? And in fact, I'm not really sure, that I'm doing this correctly, but I'm going to try it here. Here's my game object. My game object. I'm going to apply it to the cube. I should have done that before. But make sure that it's okay. It's still in the same place. That's good. Excellent. So now my game. Sorry, my screen is having a problem. Now my game object is inside the cube, and it has a box collider, and you can maybe see it. Yeah, that's helpful. There you can see it. And so I'm going to imagine it like something like this. I'm going to here's the Z. I'll narrow it down a bit, and the Y I'll raise it up a bit so that it's just about the same size as the box, but no bigger. You don't want it sticking out and making the box float when it's on the ground, because that's what will happen, right? I hope you can see this. And then let's look at it from the front view. It's a little bit too narrow, maybe. So the X is always red. There we go. Want to be careful not to get into negative space. You can think, okay, I've widened it enough, but I'm not sure what happens if it's negative numbers here. But maybe it works fine. But I'm just going to make sure that I stay in positive numbers. Oops. Okay. And none of that is outside the box, I'm pretty sure, yeah, because I can see it, and it's hard to see. It turns brighter green when it comes outside the box. So that's a game object, but I'll rename it. That's a right-click target. And there's only one in here, and I think I could. I think I could live with some more. So copy paste. And I really want them to all have the same name. I don't think that's an issue. I hope it's not. Because I want to use these in every object that's kickable, that I want the character to be able to kick. And it'd be nice to just have a set of these and be able to drop them into things. You can see they're all occupying the same space, so if I pick one, I can move it here. I pick another one. Actually, the middle one. Maybe it's a good idea to always do them the same way. So the top one will be in the right. The right is relative, because obviously on this side They're they're opposite. So anyway, there's three uh, col- collider boxes inside there, and they're attached to. They're not just there, but they're attached to the cube. Oops. Okay. So something I really need to work on that, but I don't want him to accidentally kick this thing. I mean, for his walk to move things. But I only want this to work, and that works great. So I can do the same kind of thing with the sphere. I'm going to experiment with whether or not I should add box colliders or sphere colliders to that sphere for the optimal kick response. But this is codeless, just physics engine stuff. And so I thought I should share that with everyone.